Hey guys, how's it going? It is Kire here with another Infinite Magicraid video. And in today's video, I want to break down my thoughts on the new heroes that got buffed. Because we have Fritch, Taru, Elbec, Elbec, Anna, Elate, and Olga all have skill adjustments, which I think are great. These are characters ranging from completely trash to okay that got buffed. So I think this is the kind of sweet spot of characters that I think should get buffs. But in the meantime, since I am a few days late, they did also announce that there's more buffs to come. Then they already told us what heroes are going to be next up in the rotation. And these ones really need it in HAL 9000, Kire, Karid, Tuck, Timmy, and Lamb. And I really hope that they rework Kire. This is just a side thing for Faction Abyss, because I think she is by far the most annoying thing ever when she dies. She's giving everyone crit rate. I wonder if they're going to retroactively change her to whatever new buff that they have for her, or if she's going to stay the same as the old Kire in PvE content. Curious to see how that goes, because she is a big pain point for, I think, for a lot of people in that game mode. So I'm going to break down the new changes to the ones that are actually announced. But before we get into that, I do want to announce to today's sponsor, Aptoide. There is 3 days left on their announcement for their giveaway. So I'm going to roll the clip and then let's get into it. Hey guys, how's it going? It is Kire here with a special announcement. Got a 10x $25 giveaway promotion from Aptoide. It is going on from February 24th to February 28th. Okay, so here is how to enter this promotion. So it is going on from February 24th to February 28th. And you have to use my promo code Kire Mobile 5 in the AppCoins wallet that you'll need to have downloaded on either an Android phone or an Android emulator. I'm currently using BlueStacks, and I will show you how to do that here momentarily. This is a Google form that you will also see linked down in the description that you need to click to fill out some information. Currently, I'm covering up my email address down below, and then there's a next button down below. Let's click that. Then you just need to put in your email address and then also your wallet you are using for purchases. That is how you enter. And if you have one purchase within that time frame, you will be eligible to win one of the $25 gift cards. So now let me show you what you need to do on the actual app itself. So here is the AppCoins wallet. You can see at the bottom left corner here. You click this, and then you need to go to the cogwheel in the top right, and then put promo code Kire Mobile 5. That is necessary for you to be eligible for the promotion. And then where you can find the wallet, I'm not going to show it because I don't want to show my own wallet here, but it is down here in the bottom right-ish corner where My Wallets. If you click My Wallets there, then you will see it right on the front, kind of where this new perk is, and it will show you exactly what your wallet code is, and that's what you're going to link down there in the Google form. So that is how you enter. Good luck in the contest. And with that, guys, I'm out of here. Peace. Elate here. I think this is the one I'm most excited about, because this kit was very similar to Elbec's kit. And Elbec is very good. There was definitely obviously some things missing with this kit, but the kind of the core framework was right up there in line with Elbec. So Elliot here, where they went with a max HP character versus having her be like a defensive based character. It was kind of hedging the bets a little bit, doing defense damage, but now do damage off max HP, 8% of her HP. As we saw with Taru, that's really not going to be that much. They just buffed his to 24%. You got 24 and 26, but she's only doing 8%. So already right there, we know that she's going to hit like an absolute noodle with a 40% chance to reduce their effect hit by 50% for 2 turns. I think that's okay. Getting that to maybe like a 70 to an 80% chance if you get enough effect hit on that. But it might not necessarily be worth it. Maybe you just want to stack like speed and HP with this character. And then the active skill. I love this change for this for 2 reasons. First of all, max HP is awesome. Love to have that. Also, res debuff is an amazing debuff to have. Really like that. But then the main thing that I like that they changed about this is on a 3-turn cooldown. So it's unique where you can stack this with, you have other people that doing defense up. You have people doing a shield. She's now doing max HP, which is very rare. And on a 3-turn cooldown. And then the damage reflect, I don't really care about. Maybe that does crazy damage, but I really think that's going to be very little on the passive there. But I'm glad that the number's higher. The thing I care about when it comes to this character is just the A2. Being able to have the max HP increase and the res debuff, I think is insane. And then if you happen to, before it would be unlucky enough to pull multiple of these characters, you get the exclusive one where it's going to be 30% shield, which I think is great, because that was one of the nice things about her exclusive was the shield, but then she's doing all this defensive stuff. So it's like, do you want to stack defense or do you want to actually stack HP? In this case, now that she scales up both HP, I think it's a no-brainer and it's going to just make her better overall there. On level 2, she has a 50% chance to counterattack when taking damage. It is guaranteed to counterattack if the attacker's HP is below 50% and can be stacked with the buff counterattack. So I think the combination of the damage reflect and the counterattack with someone like a Catherine would be nice. Plus, it's going to... She's not overlapping. It's not like two people with a shield. It's going to be her being able to do the HP increase and the res debuff, which is nice. Even though Catherine cleanses a ton, being able to just not have it is nice. It's also going to be on a 3 turn, so it's going to stack with Catherine there. So really think this is going to be a good character going forward, even though now she's at like the bottom of tier lists. And then level 3, going to be increases damage dealt by 60 to 120% damage based on the target's lost HP and slashes the target directly if the HP is below 25% after dealing damage. I know it's an exclusive 3 thing, but the slashing is interesting, even though the damage is probably not going to be that high on this character, but it is on this 42% of her max HP, especially if you have it increased by 50%, and then you do 42% of the increased and 120% extra damage, and then it gets them into that slash range. That can actually be kind of wild. Taru here is going to be a little difficult for me to evaluate. So definitely take what I say about this guy with a grain of salt, because he was trash before and I didn't have him. Keep that in mind. And then also, this is another character that I just haven't been excited about at all. I don't really have a frame of reference on how good he was before. Like, he was not used, period. And then maybe there was some kind of potential there, but I didn't see it, especially because I never pulled him. So it's really hard for me to say. They literally doubled his damage. So deals on his basic attack, which I think usually when something like that, he was incredibly undertuned of his max HP. So 24% now instead of 12, with a 35% chance to inflict intertwined. I don't like the 35ers. As you can see, if you look at my video, when it comes to effect hit, 100% of the time, if you want to land that on someone that has 64% effect res, it would be like 290% effect hit to guarantee that. So Taru grants himself 1 layer of heal, because that's typical. And then I'd like this though. Before, his cooldown was 6, 5, and 4. Now it's 5, 4, 3. I love 3-turn cooldowns in this game. I think 3 turns is the sweet spot for something like this, whether it be a shield, consolidation 2, anything of that sort. 3 turns is great. And then lastly, added repeatedly obtained shield granted by this effect will reset the shield value and duration, which I think is necessary but kind of a bummer. Being able to stack up a massive shield would actually be kind of crazy, but that's pretty much all I got for this guy. Okay, so next is Elbec. And I liked Elbec. I went all in, got him, and then ended up trying him out. I ended up reverting him just because I didn't really have a spot for him, but I liked him pre-buff. But the thing I didn't like about him was that he kind of hedges his bets. Like, especially when you get him exclusive 1. Like, what do you do with him? Is he a damage dealer? Is he a support? Is he trying to actually like help people survive? Or is he actually trying to, maybe it's a combination of both. Maybe he wants to do damage and be able to help people, especially with the damage he was doing. He was doing decent damage, but not enough to really make a difference. But I think after these changes, he's going to be kind of scary. His basic attack was 18% of his HP. Now it's 26%. That's a massive buff there. I want to say like a 25%er. Afterwards deals 2 layers. Okay, so that's pretty much the only change. Just a flat out damage change to his basic attack, and then gave his shield. This is the weird part about him is his A2, where it's just a shield, and then he also gets ally protection, immune to death when he's exclusive 1, which is just a bizarre thing to have for this guy. But I do like the shield portion. Like, being able to have a shield on a 3-turn cooldown is great. But then he's stacking with his HP, so you're getting that plus a 35% shield. But having so much HP, like you can have in the millions of HP, that 35%er is going to be like the equivalent of like the 60% you get with Catherine, for example. So if you allow him to stack, then he's going to get a massive shield and do massive damage. So pretty exciting there. And then his ult, instead of doing 45% HP, it's 54% HP, which I think is great. I just think having more damage for what he's trying to do is good. Also, a bigger shield is great as well. His exclusive 3, they changed where his death domain, it basically means he's just like, so 3 turns after casting Soul Burst, the layer of Desert Soul obtained by casting Soul Draining Strike triples. The damage used to double, now it triples, which is crazy. Meanwhile, extends the duration of death domain by 1 turn if anyone dies. So I think this is a needed buff. Like, I like these characters because, for example, Anna was just complete trash, or not Anna, Olga was complete trash and needed the buff, but Anna was like fringe good, and then they buffed her. Also, Elbec, fringe good, but then they buffed him. So I like these changes so far. Okay, so Olga was an incredibly lackluster character pre-buff, but now she's buffed. I think they already addressed, the first thing I'm reading here is already infinitely better than she was before, which was her passive. So Olga takes 25% less direct damage when she's attacked by other heroes with countered mark. Olga has used to be, I can't believe this, 37% chance when booked to pursue. Now she has 100% chance. Like, that needed to be straight up from the beginning. Maybe it would be too powerful, but I think even with this, she's still going to be a solid hero. Maybe not god tier, but like still very good. A chance to pursue an attack after an ally casts skills that deal damage proactively. So this is actually really exciting, having someone that you can constantly call in. I want to see how good this is, especially with their changes to the auto attack here, where basic attack used to be 300%, which is still a pretty solid modifier, but 360% attack damage to a single enemy. If the target has an attribute debuff, additionally increases by 25% damage. If the target is under control status, 50% instead. So I think this is also very good. Pretty much a damage across the board. So instead of 145% on the active skill, it's 180% attack damage to a single enemy. The first 3 stages of the attack reduce the target's turn meter by 15%. That's still the same. And then level 2, here, let's go. Okay, so exclusive level 2 deals 35% more direct damage to Forgotten, Eternal Sect, and Doom Legion enemies and takes 25% less damage. So not much there, but I think the big change that she needed was this. Right here, I think this is she's like a whole new hero now by being able to guarantee that anytime someone else attacks, she'll be able to attack with them. I do want to revert someone and probably try her out because I think she's pretty unique and it'd be fun to actually test that. Okay, so Anna, I'm really excited about with how they changed her. I thought they did a good job of making her actually really good. Before, I thought she was solid, but she would need to be an activator as a burn character for someone like Bari. I think that's one of the big issues with burn heroes at the moment is that if you don't have Bari, it's pretty pointless to even run a burn hero. And in most case scenarios, just what burn brings to the table is really not that great. And I really hope what they end up doing is making them relevant in Elemental City by not having that stupid nerf to burn by having 50%. I feel like they get hit the hardest by that because they're such a nuke heavy, cooldown heavy faction or sub faction of characters that them having a 50% reduction there is just really dumb in my opinion. And I think they knew that they would be really powerful there. And it's just weird that they haven't been relevant anywhere. And then the one place that they would be relevant, they already pre-nerfed. It's just so stupid. So other than that, let's talk about Anna here. So it deals 200% attack damage to a single enemy. And then what I like what they're doing here is that they're increasing the chance to inflict burn because before at 80%, it would still be 100% chance if you have enough affected, but they're lowering the affected burden that she needs to have. So that means we can have more stats for more attack and more mastery or more speed. I think this is a good change. Same with her Flame Strike. This is her 8-2. 100% chance to inflict 1 layer burn for 2 turns on 2 random enemies. And then if you remember, her exclusive 1 means that she has an AoE, but they're adding a really good effect to that. We'll get to it in a second. And then lastly, Anna increases her burn damage by 5% instead of 3% whenever she inflicts a burn, stackable up to 10 layers, which is hilarious. So that's, a 50% burn damage increase. And then Anna increases 40% speed for 2 turns whenever she detonates a burn or deals detonation damage. So incredibly good buffs for her there, but her exclusives get pretty wild. I think she's pretty necessary to have her exclusive 1 just for this first part here where Fire Strike will now attack all enemies because she's still mainly an activator for people, but then she's getting this really sick activator where it's after Flame Strike is cast, increases all allies attack by 40%. So imagine she does that, puts burn down on everyone, and then Bari comes over the top with now a 40% attack boost with that. And then increases all dot, like this is gone. They removed this portion, increases dot dealt by all allies by 20% when Anna survives. New skill completely changed, increases the effect of Fire Wave by 100%, which will not be removed at wave transition. It meanwhile increases burn damage dealt by all enemies by 30% when Anna survives. So I think this is way better. Pretty wild that they're doing that. And then lastly, Phoenix Dance inflicts 1 layer of burn on all enemies without burn for 2 turns. So that's all gone. The new version is increases the detonation damage dealt by Phoenix Dance by 120%, after which there's a 100% chance to inflict 1 layer burn on all enemies for 2 turns. I think this means she's very good. I still think you're really going to want to use her with Bari, for example. Can't really think of anyone else that's really on that level. But, Feist has pretty much been my go-to main activator. Maybe you can do something like Feist plus her because she has so many other ways of being able to boost up, have the 40% attack boost, does more burn damage, has increased burn damage here. So maybe she could be that standalone burn character, but I doubt it. I still think you're going to want to pair her with Bari to get the full effect. Okay, so Fritch is interesting. I think he had potential before in very niche scenarios in Faction Abyss. Like that was it. And now let's take a look at just how good he is with this patch update. So basic attack deals a little bit more defense damage each to a single enemy with a 40% chance to inflict provoke for 1 turn. Don't really care about that too much. I guess that could be kind of nice in a counterattack scenario if you have Catherine counterattacks, then he pulls them in there. Then his A2 here after deals 120% defense damage to all enemies with a 70% chance to reduce their attack base by 40% for 2 turns, and a 70% chance to reduce their crit damage by 60% for 2 turns. So this move here is so insane now, having the attack reduction and the crit damage reduction. If I remember correctly, yeah, okay, so the big issue with it was the percentage, the 50%. Now that it's 70, it's so much easier to make this guaranteed. This is such a big deal in Faction Abyss. He's almost like a Faction Abyss specialist. This would be such a good thing to have almost anywhere. Like every single stage or every single faction, he would be like god tier at this, because not only like you have to worry about Carrie critting when you kill Carrie, because she increases the crit rate of the boss, and then pretty much anyone gets one shot if that boss just happens to crit. He does so much damage, especially when you get to Faction Abyss like 22, 23, and above. And being able to not only have an attack down, but a crit damage down is so good, in my opinion. So I think that's a really, really sick buff. And then his passive, so used to restore his HP and increase turn meter when taking crit damage, which is just not a good thing. Like him taking crit damage, unless he had this on there, he's going to get one shot or he's going to take so much damage in this hard PvE content. Whereas now it reduces all damage received by 60%. Meanwhile, each time Fridge takes direct damage, restores self HP by 4% of max HP and grants self 1 layer of overwhelming anger, each of which increases self all damage received by 10% up to 15 layers. Besides remove, like this is such a good synergy, but with taunt on a character, like or with provoke in what they call it in this game. So this is amazing. This is actually what these kind of characters need. The damage is way too high, and if you're going to be making them attack you, if you don't have some kind of damage mitigation or your own defense up or something, your own consolidation, you're just going to get one shot. And so finally, there's a character that actually makes sense. It fills this role and makes sense. If he had an AoE provoke or something along those lines, he would finally, it would actually be a good version of this, but let's find out. Or a provoke, an AoE provoke on a 70% chance. Like that's what I want, because we can make that 100%. And then his active skill, so new, inflicts taunt on self for 2 turns, restores all allies HP by 18%, and then grants them a shield by 50%. So I guess I shouldn't say that taunt or provoke are the same thing in this game, because taunt is like a buff you put on yourself and is going to make them attack, whereas a provoke is going to be a debuff you apply on them, and then it forces them to use their basic skill on you. So he actually has a taunt now. So finally a character that does this well. Like Fridge, he finally fills this role. They've been hedging their bets this whole time, but this one is actually finally a well-designed kit for what he's trying to do. I like this a ton. Let's see what his exclusive one is. Hammer Rampage reduces all enemies' turn meter by 15% and reduces all enemies' turn meter by 25% when successfully reducing their attack. That's amazing. And then level 2, at the beginning of each turn, removes all layers of overwhelming anger, each of which increases all self-damage received by 7% now. I'm confused. Am I reading this right? At the beginning of each turn, removes all layers of overwhelming anger, each of which increases all self-damage received. Okay, so he's increasing self-damage received. I'm confused by that. It's almost like he's removing it just to increase more damage. I need to see that in game. And then Fury removes all debuffs from self and grants self res debuff for 2 turns before restoring HP. Besides, the value of shield granted by Fury now increases to 30% of Fridge's max HP. So removes all debuffs and res debuff and grants a shield. So I think that's just an insane change. That character went from pretty niche to actually really good. So I'm a big fan of Fridge right here. Okay, so Amalek I actually kind of liked before. I never pulled him, so I never really got a chance to use him, but I like the combination of an AoE defensive down and an AoE tenacity. Unfortunately, it just wasn't that useful of a thing to be able to have something that would be good at AoE clearing, but I figured that'd be something good in PvP, something good in Elemental City, something good clearing waves before a dungeon, Faction Abyss, stuff like that. But Didn't ever really get to use it, obviously because I haven't pulled him, but I really haven't seen him being used too often, even for the people that actually do have him. But let's see how much better he is now with the new changes. So we have a massive increase to his modifier on his auto attack, so 220% instead of 140. Reduces their turn meter by 75%. Wow, that's like legitimately awesome. Meanwhile, has a 100% chance to inflict freeze for one turn. I believe that's his A2. There's no way that's his auto attack, but that makes more sense. So like the combination of freeze, I do like that combination of you have damage, turn meter reduction, and 100% chance. And I absolutely love the 100% chance to inflict freeze for one turn. Then passive skill, each stage of Amalek's damage inflicts one layer of sword aura, removes all layers of sword aura on a target who has 3 layers of sword aura when booked. Afterwards, there's a 100% chance to inflict freeze on them for 1 turn added. Amalek is guaranteed to launch a crit on freeze status. That's pretty good. And especially the CC with Elemental City, I know that that is a very controversial game mode, but being good in another game mode, I think that's a pretty big bonus. And then 200% attack damage to all enemies, 60% chance to reduce the target's defense by 60%, and a 60% for tenacity. I guess the only change is he does more damage now, which I don't really think is what he was missing. And the guaranteed crit to freeze, I guess, is nice. Having a higher chance of being able to reduce turn meter, like reduces their turn meter by 75%, or not necessarily a higher chance, but a higher percentage, I guess is kind of nice. But I don't really need this guy doing damage. I would rather him bring more to the table than what he's bringing now. But I guess he's going to be a character that I think is going to get useful when content comes out, and then depending on the content, if it's like wave heavy content, you're going to use him more. But at the same time, this buff, in my opinion, is lackluster because it doesn't really address where he's lacking. Like, I've never gone like, okay, I'm bringing this guy on my team, I wish he did more damage. Because you're going to be building him all heavy effect hit and making sure things land, and then him doing a little bit more damage doesn't really move the needle, in my opinion. You're going to bring a damage dealer with him. He's not going to fill both roles. And then his E3 deals 1 additional stage of 140% attack damage instead of 100, or 280 if it's under freeze. So it's just a bigger nuke, so he just does more damage. So he has to do double duty. This is the reason why I don't like characters like this, is because you have to build him with a ton of effect hit, but then you also got to build him with a ton of damage. And the only characters that really get away with that are bleed characters, because they do so much extra damage. Like, that effect hit is basically being converted into damage. Whereas it's not the case here. It's being converted into utility that you can use with your damage dealer. So, not a fan of this. Alright guys, well that's going to do it for the breakdown on all these heroes here. If you guys want to watch another video by me, I do have a breakdown of why I think effect res reduction is such a good debuff, and you can check it out right here.